Hello, my name is Raymond Aaron, the Double Your Income Guy, and the purpose of this little video is to teach you the two-step money deal formula. And the purpose of it is to tell you quickly if a property is probably a great investment. It's to tell you quickly, and that means within seconds, if a property is probably a good investment. You see, if you're only going to buy one property in your whole lifetime, then you don't need any speed. Take a month, take a year to buy your property, it doesn't matter. But the purpose of this two-step money deal formula is to help people who want to buy more than one property. You might have to review 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 properties in order to find the one or two gems that you want to investigate. And so this formula helps you tell quickly if a property is probably a good investment vehicle for you. So does it give you precise data? No. It's to separate the wheat from the chaff. It's to say those are probably not good, these few are probably good, and then you do your due diligence on the one or two. So instead of doing due diligence on 100 properties, which could take you an hour or several hours each, you'll never get through 100. You do the quick money deal formula, and that tells you within seconds each, no, 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 no. And then you get the occasional yes, and then you do your several hours of due diligence on the one or two that the formula spots as the really great one. And it's two-step because there's only two steps. And the first step is to find out the rent. Now, usually it's easy because a rental income property is probably already rented. Maybe you have to adjust it a bit because maybe the previous owner was an absentee owner and he hadn't raised the rent for years. Or maybe the owner's living in it and you're going to buy it and rent it out, so you won't know exactly what the rent is because the owner isn't paying rent to himself. So you'll have to ask around or ask a realtor what the rents are in the area. But in any case, you fairly quickly come up with a pretty good guess as to what the monthly rent is, the monthly rent that you could get for that property. Now, at the time of this recording, first mortgages are typically in the high 3% to low 4% range. So somewhere around the 4% interest rate range, the rule of thumb is the number 200. That's the magic number. It's a really magic and important number because it's so round, it's easy to multiply. You take the monthly rent, multiply it by 200, not always and not in every city and not in every time, but right now, with interest rates somewhere around 4%, and they don't change that quickly, so the number 200 is going to last for a long time. You multiply the monthly rent by 200, and that tells you quickly what the maximum purchase price is that you should pay. So let's say a rent is $1,000 a month. So 200 has two parts, 2 and 100. So 2 means double. So you take the $1,000 a month rent and you double it. That's 2,000, and then 2,000 times 100 is just obviously 200,000. 2,000 times 100 is 200,000. And so if the property is way higher than 200,000, you have no interest. If the property is anywhere near 200, it's probably a good deal. You've been able to tell quickly if a property is probably a good deal. So let's say you're talking to somebody and they say to you, I'm a tenant and I'm paying $1,500 a month rent and my landlord is thinking of selling the place. Would you like to buy it? You say, okay, 1,500 times 200. So it's 2 and 100. So you take 1,500 and you double it, that's 3,000. And then 3,000 times 100 is 300,000. So you say, what does your landlord want? And he says, well, the landlord wants $1 million. You say, no thanks, I'm not interested. Well, he might drop it to 700,000, not interested. 500,000, not interested. But if it's anywhere near 300,000, then suddenly your ears pick up. If it's 250, drop everything and go investigate it. If it's 300, it's probably a great deal. If it's 325 or even 350, it may be a good deal. You see, it's a rough rule of thumb. It's a rough rule of thumb. It's not an exact number. Maybe the exact number that you multiply by would be 187, but who can multiply by 187 in their head? And so the round number is a rule of thumb. Now, it works in the other direction as well. if someone tells you the purchase price, then you will be able to divide by 200 and figure out immediately what the monthly rent would have to be to make it a good deal for you. So a realtor calls you up and says, I've got a great rental income property for you. And you say, okay, maybe it is. What's the purchase price? And they say $500,000. You say $500,000. Okay, I've got to divide by 200. Well, that's 2 and 100. So take 500,000 divided by 2 is 250,000, and then divided by 100 is $2,500 a month. You say, okay, what's the monthly rent? And if the realtor says $2,500, wow, you're excited. If the realtor says $1,000 a month, there's just not even, it's not even close. There's not even any possibility. If the realtor says, well, it's a triplex and they're getting $1,000 for each of the 3 units, is $3,000 and you only need $2,500, and at $2,500 it's a great deal, then you're on it. And so if you know the rent, you can figure out the maximum purchase price. And if you know the purchase price, you can figure out what the minimum rent would have to be. Now, it's not perfect. It's a rule of thumb. Rules of thumb tell you quickly if something's probably good or bad, but it's not perfect. So if I use this rule of thumb, I will sometimes lose out on a great deal. But if I've got 100 properties to investigate, I want to sift it down from 100 to 98 really fast. And with my secret formula, I can get it down from 100 to 2 great prospects really quickly. Of the 98 that I throw away, might there be 1 or 2 great ones in there? There might be, and I'd lose it. But you see, if I have to spend 2 or 3 hours studying each one of 100 properties, by the time I've gotten to the one that's good, I probably lost it because someone else has put an offer in. And so it helps me enormously, and it will help you enormously. And what I want to say to you is, congratulations on your dedication to your ongoing self-education, because that's what's going to make the difference for you.